may be taken or listed below. Items do not be taken in the same order as shown on this meeting notice. Unless we remove from the consent agenda, items identified within the consent agenda will be acted on at one time. Roll call. Board Manager Terry.
Present.
Board Manager Elders is not here. And Board Manager Johnson. We do have a quorum. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Any public comment, Adam?
There were none posted.
Thank you. Next is recognitions. Lone Star Governor Student of the Month, Lone Star Governor Teacher of the Month, and the Employee of the Month.
Good evening, Board President Johnson, members of the board. So tonight's Lone Star Governor Student of the Month, Ms. Ryan Edwards. Ryan Edwards is the third child of 3 and the only girl. This makes her proud because she's tough from her brothers, yet a princess in the house. Her favorite subject is math, maybe because of her crazy mom, and she loves to play volleyball. Her favorite part about Marlin Middle School is her classmates and being a part of the All-Star Sounds of Thunder. She loves that her classmates are funny, smart, and have each other's back. She is so glad she came to this school and thinks of Marlin as a home away from home. Please join me in congratulating our Student of the Month, Ryan Edwards. Get up. You got to come get your award. Yes. Come on. Oh, you just thought because your mama made you. All right, yeah. Next, our Lone Star Governor's Teacher of the Month. Mr. John Elliott is in his second year with Marlin ISD. He is an alumni of Northwestern State University and Theta Chi fraternity. He marched his entire college career with the Demon Marching Band from NSU. Wonder why you're not out there helping. Sounds of thunder. He has been married to his wife, Katie, for 15 years and has 4 amazing children, Hannah, Abby, Evie, and Sam. Please join me in congratulating John Elliott. Come on over here. Next, for our Marlin ISD Employee of the Month. This Employee of the Month is a native of Fort Worth, Texas, Stop 6, where I'm from. She is the youngest of 5 siblings. With over 20 years in the early childhood field, her passion for the little ones remain ignited. This Employee of the Month is also the brainchild behind the formation of the Marlin Little Pup Academy. Please join me in congratulating this month's Employee of the Month, Shanita Gail Richmond. Gail, your whole
I'll let you give it to her. I'll let you give it to her. Congratulations.
Scoot up so I can take a picture. Hold it. Oh, it's heavy.
Yeah.
Why you tell everybody my name is
Thank you.
We thank all you winners also from the board. Continued success. Okay, now we're going into closed session at 5:06. Pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551074, deliberation of personnel matters. Back in open session at 5:28. Next on the agenda, superintendent report.
Good evening, Board President Johnson and Mrs. Terry. Tonight, we'll begin with the bond 2022 update by Mr. Bustamante.
Board President Johnson, Mrs. Terry, Dr. Henson. District continues to have meaningful conversations with all of our stakeholders and vendors just to ensure a successful project delivery for all of our bond projects. Our next Bond Advisory Committee meeting will be Monday, October 16th. We were scheduled to have one today, but we're postponing it to October 16th just so we can have a meaningful conversation with a lot more information for that meeting. Just wanted to refresh the memory, a couple of board presentations. We talked about phase 1 and phase 2 for the projects at Legion Field. So a few updates for Legion Field. The items on the left, the track and field, the restrooms and concession stand renovations, and the field house work is pretty much complete. We're still missing a few details, but I would say that the majority of that work has been completed. The next items that are coming soon is the press box work, the grandstand work, the entrance, and the parking, and then, of course, our electrical, and then that beautiful scoreboard that's coming here pretty soon. A few updated pictures of Legion Field. The turf is complete. There's nothing left to do on that, but just groom it and maintain it as the weeks go on. And then we will come and finish the track surface once the football season has been completed. Updated pictures from our locker room for our females. So this was the Title IX compliance project that we were working on. But as you can see, they redid the floor, deep cleaned the lockers, and then painted the walls, and then that nice purple trim on the wall as well. Pictures from the restrooms, you can see our girls now have a space to do their makeup, to do whatever they got to do to get ready for Friday nights for track and field events, and then updated lighting in the showers. And then our concession stands. This concession stand work was just putting a little bit of lipstick on a pig, very little details that we took care of here. We just wanted to just do a little facelift just to make sure that we can keep these spaces operating. And then our restrooms at the field as well, new stalls, new sinks, clean the floor. These restrooms were in pretty bad shape, so you can see from these pictures that they look a lot cleaner than what they were before. And then just a friendly reminder, Legion Field is still under construction, so it's definitely still a construction site. Just a reminder for all the community members that Legion Field is still closed for construction. Any questions?
Next, we will have our district improvement plan by Mrs. Edwards.
Good evening, Board President Johnson, Ms. Terry, and Dr. Henson. So our district improvement plan brings coherence to our actions as we move towards our strategic plan. I want you to think of our district improvement plan more like if you were to just give an address to someone to be there and gave them no routes. Well, we could all get in different cars. We could all take different routes. I may have to stop to get gas. My daughter might want to get Takis. We're not going to get there at the same particular time. Our district improvement plan ensures that not only is our destination the same, but our routes are the same. And so again, it does bring unity of purpose, alignment, and clear accountability. So it's a blueprint that outlines exactly what each stakeholder in our district is going to do. And it puts in checkpoints to ensure that we are on the right path to reaching our goals as outlined by our strategic plan. And so just a reminder that our strategic plan focuses on early literacy, CCMR, middle math, and of course our extracurricular activities. when we put together our district improvement plan, it's not me sitting in an office by myself deciding the best route to improvement. It has to be a collective idea, and it has to be collective thought. And so we do have to have an improvement planning committee. We are going to convene on the 20th. It will consist of administrators, teachers, parents, paraprofessionals, and community members so that everyone has input on the best way to get to our goals. We will go through a comprehensive needs assessment, so we will look at data and our current resources as a guide to what steps we need to take, and then we will create 3 goals. Each goal will have 2 performance objectives and 1 strategy per performance objective. Are there any questions? A wise man said the success to business and business ventures is to always under-promise and over-deliver. Well, I don't work for that wise man. Who I work for says you over-promise and you over-deliver. And so we'll be bringing you updates from the academics department each month to ensure that what we promise is being delivered upon. And so I want to review again, I've stood before you and told you our commitments to our students and to our community versus today what I'm going to show you is our actions. And if you notice at that balance that I picked, you see that our actions are exceeding our commitments. A reminder of what we were committed to do, especially for our high school students, is that we were going to provide students with the space, technology, resources, and in-class facilitator daily. Marlin ISD will also provide progress reports every 6 weeks. Our community was very, very, very clear to the teacher shortage. We were struggling with a lot of the press and some of the voices in our community were making it extremely hard for us to staff our classes, which was leaving our students in a situation that was dire, to say the least. Our superintendent's solution to that was to take all of the highly qualified and certified leaders that he has on his cabinet to go into the classroom, and we gave it our absolute all. However, our community at several town halls made it very clear that is not what we want, and so our solution to that was to go to our TXVSN courses, which is the Texas Virtual School Network. And so what we promised our community was that we will get our students enrolled, we will provide them with the technology, the resources, and the in-class facilitator. What did we actually do, however? We had a Texas Virtual School Network progress tracking and communicating that began August 14th. So every single week when I receive those progress reports from TXVSN, I reach out to me or my team reaches out to parents for students who are slipping, even though we have given parents logins to check themselves. We had a student support meeting, our senior graduation parent meeting, which was August 17th. We had our academic facilitator support Mondays that began August 21st. What that is my team that consists of 5 every single week. We preview what is up and coming for our students the upcoming week. Example, our students in English 1 or English 2 may have to write a 5-paragraph essay, but they may be required to do it in MLA formatting. Well, we know that while our students can write a 5-paragraph essay, they may need a refresher or to be taught how to do MLA formatting. And so every Monday, my team goes in and pulls whole groups of students to front load them with that information to ensure, so basically it's like they have 2 teachers to ensure that they have what they need. In addition, they look at those progress reports and they pull students who are struggling for completion or passing. That happens every single Monday. It happens for sure on Mondays, but we go in any day that we see is a need. On August 23rd, we had a student and parent support. We had a meeting specifically about Texas Virtual School Network. This is where I explained the grading policies to our parents, and I gave the parents their students login so that at any time they can log in and see how their students are doing. We had our Texas College Bridge Orientation and Open Lab August 28th, and so that is required for our seniors to ensure that they can step into any Texas State College and not have to take remedial courses, which are courses that they have to pay for but don't go towards graduation. It is also one of our graduation requirements. We have open labs for Texas Virtual School Network, Algebra 2, and advanced quantitative reasoning that began September 5th. And we have a proposed master schedule reset, which is projected to happen on the 18th.
Board President Johnson and Mrs. Terry, I do want to commend Mr. Edwards and the academics team. Please go back a slide. Because the charge this year was to support our families through consistent and ongoing communication, as well as hands-on basically guidance on how to work our virtual programs. We understood what took place last May. And despite holistically it not being that grand of a setback, we want to make sure that it does not happen again. And so we believe that by having 6 meetings in the month of August and throughout the year, we want to eliminate any and all barriers for our students and for our families. So as always, when I get the opportunity, a lot of work has gone in from Mrs. Edwards and her entire team, but ultimately, this is what we feel a foolproof plan to support our children in our new online virtual platform.
So as we have commitments with these rising standards, we have commitments of our students and our parents. So just a brief reminder of what was also communicated to them. Our students are expected to complete their assignments and get at least a 70. They need to speak with their in-class facilitator if they need any assistance. They need to communicate immediately with their online instructor if they need any assistance. They need to be in school 90% of the time. And we are imploring our parents to log into that parent portal to monitor their students' progress and to reach out to high school administration via phone or email if there are any questions. I have been charged by Dr. Hinton to ensure that no student is left behind, but the reason that I put a graphic of a village up there is because it does take a village. The classes that they're in for TXVSN are on-level classes, and since these teachers do not work for us, our students must reach the accountability set forth by those teachers, and so we're doing everything possible. I'm sad to say, however, even though this was communicated and has been overly communicated, and it very much is a partnership, that I have received less than 10 emails from parents or students asking for assistance with these classes. In addition, our meeting on August 15th had 14 parents in attendance. Our meeting on August 17th had 17 parents in attendance. And our meeting on August 23rd had 31 parents in attendance. Now, we know that there's a lot of overlap. If I'm a parent who's engaged, that's probably the same parents that are sitting in those meetings. But just for fun's sake, let's just say that it is not. And that is the amount of 72 that I have sitting there. Well, if I take out, let's say, the students, about half that are at their completion percentage and or are passing their classes right now, because if I'm a parent of a student who's a high performer, then I'm not gonna feel like I need to go to the meeting, even though I need to. If I take that out, that leaves us with 15% of parents who need to engage, engaging with us. 15% of students who need to engage, engaging with us. So that's 85% of parents that I need to hear from so that I can continue to support with them that I'm not hearing from. So as pillars and pinnacles of our community, Ms. Terry and President Johnson, I am begging you, and I use that word very specifically, to please help us in getting the word out to our parents that if they can just get involved, if they can pull up their kids' performance and they can reach out to me. Some of these parents have my personal cell phone number. If they call me, I call them right back. That we will do everything in our power to ensure that they have every single thing that they need to be successful. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Next, we will have an operations update by Dr. Stacy Parker Knight.
Good evening again, Board President Johnson, Mrs. Terry, Dr. Henson. So just like my colleague, Ms. Edwards, talked about academics, and we know that academics definitely is the heartbeat and bloodline of any K-12 institution, so as operations being the body and the vessel to carry that. Parental and community involvement plays a crucial role in supporting those operations, and as I settle into the 23-24 school year, I found it important to have a period of not only reflection, but reflection and renewal so that it ensures that we are always operating at our best. In doing so, I came up with my own guiding question, and the question was, well, how and why is it important for us to foster such positive relationships and implement strategy efforts between all of our parents, community, and school personnel to build that sense of community and shared goals within the district? Well, research shows that negative community and parental behaviors can have a detrimental effect on public school operations, such as increased teacher turnover. So human resources being an operations function, we are having to increase our retention and recruitment efforts in light of some of, unfortunately, our negative publicity, so that we can continue to show and demonstrate that Marlin actually is the premier place to work and to be. And so we want to move forward in that in a positive light. And these are things that I've reflected on and have noted in our various conversation. Decreased parental involvement, won't go into that further, but Ms. Edwards just gave an example of the turnouts in meetings and that. And sometimes it's not necessarily a thing of will. It could be, avoidance of not wanting to be a part or be associated with any type of negative connotations or, just environment. Some people are about that positive energy, like me. Time and resources. Anytime that we have to take away from the current business at hand, that is time away and resources redirected to efforts that may take away from our shared vision and goals and what we have in place to take our district even further than we have thus far. Increased legal and administrative costs. Again, fighting what we definitely always want to encourage active participation of our family and community, but sometimes having to stop to maybe address baseless claims, and that again take away and cost money that can take away the district's priorities and initiatives of putting back with our students, and again just overall difficulty implementing reforms. So my primary goal and the charge that I have for our community parents and our school staff is that we start to think about how we implement strategies to foster these positive relationships with effective communication and conflict resolution. With that, I do also want to commend and say thank you to our board who have been super supportive, as well as our Marlin ISD parents and other community members that continue to show up. We know that you do send your best to us, and that you are the ones helping to navigate through some of the distractions by encouraging your children or your child to show up each day, give their best. And so again, we thank you for aligning with us for the success of your child or children. And I'll leave us all with a powerful quote by Rita Pearson. Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. And so we are pulling together all of our resources here within the district to realize this quote. And we just again to encourage and thank those of you that are helping us with that as well. Are there any questions? Educational quality, resource allocation, equity, preparedness, financial stability, and facility upkeep are just a few reasons why effective budgeting is critically important. So tonight I'm going to present to you, board, the August 2023 financial report. As you can see, and you have this in your packet, for the month of August, we have started to receive some of our revenue, and so we did have some state and a little bit of local revenue come in, and then you can see our expenditures where we are still to the good in August. I want to note for our August general fund is that as we are starting out the school year, there are still some accounting procedures that are taking place as we transition in. Most school districts have a September 1 fiscal start, so there are some timelines and deadlines for our payroll and HR departments that will reflect in a change. And so in next month's September's financials, I will bring back August again just to see any shifts in the budget that may occur because of those accounting procedures. But we are, as always, maintenance upkeep will always probably take the most money every month. Food service, same applies. We have just started receiving some revenue, but to get our students fed, and we did start school quite early this year, so we do have some expenditures slightly larger than our revenue, but that will balance out as the months move forward. For our interest in sinking account here, I want to stress that again, we have not begun receiving our debt collections for our debt, and so what you see here is residuals that may be from past due collections, and I just want to note, as you see, that's budgeted. That is the amount that would be our first debt payment due in February of 2024, so I do anticipate showing you the revenue end of that amount before that bill is due. For our construction account, again, we house the majority of our bond funds in our tax pool accounts, as I'll show you momentarily. And so we strictly move over funds as we have expenditures due. So the amount that you see is not creating a negative bank overdraft. We don't overdraft here. So that's just simply to show the amount of fees that we have paid out in construction of all the great work you see happening at Legion Field, and then just shows those are our expenditures for August, but we do always match the funding for that. And then if you take a close look, I told Dr. Henson this is eventually going to come off the page, but as we always strive to maximize, again, our operations, we want to look at how we definitely become good stewards of our funds. And with that, having some of our funds deposited in tax pool accounts allow us to gain interest at over 5% return monthly. And so that has been instrumental in supporting, giving the community some of those bells and whistles that they're asking for in the community meetings that we are hearing as it relates to Legion Field, and as we're planning forward for the high school. We do want to gain as much interest as possible so that we can sprinkle some sprinkles on top of that cake and not just do the standard. But so as you can see there, our tax pool accounts, we do have some of our local maintenance funds invested there that we're gaining interest on, as well as construction funds for Legion Field. In the Fidelity account, that account is what is housing some of our funds for the high school as well as First Public. So you'll see how those funds are gaining interest month to month, and then the remaining accounts are the funds that sit in our cadence accounts, money market, our general checking, and our construction as well, that we use to move funds over to pay those debts. Also in your board package, you will see the complete printout of the registry for the entire month of August, but I do have here as a presentation just a snippet of some of the checks that have gone out for that month. Are there any questions? Budget amendments allow us to not only adapt our financial plans, but also ensure responsible resource allocation and fiscal flexibility. So when we make our budgets, we anticipate spending a certain amount in certain areas. As we dive into the year, there may be a call sometimes for slight adjustments. It's not an increase to the amounts we anticipated to spend. It is just moving the cup. So moving some funds that we may be over budgeted in one account to another fund code. But again, the budget amounts are the same. And so in your board package, you'll see where we are asking to slightly move funds from the transportation insurance account to the operations insurance account. Both were set to pay for our insurance. We just had to adjust the funds to align with the actual invoice. Also for technology, again, just realigning some funds to the technology budget to cover some of the additional charges that we have in terms of our TXVSN initiatives and ensuring that all classrooms have the computer technology that they need and that our Wi-Fi is strengthened and we have the capability to house all of that going on at one time. Are there any questions?
Good evening, Board President Johnson and Mrs. Terry. We encourage parents to send us their best child and it is our job to make them well-rounded students. In Marlin ISD, we believe in the power of co- and extracurricular activities. For the Falls County 4-H adjunct faculty appointments, every year we have opportunities for our students to learn outside of the classroom, but still during the school day. Knowing the importance of ag not only for our region, but for the Marlin Independent School District, we are requesting tonight that Pascal Swanner and Rosandria Hartsfield remain as adjunct faculty, so when our students are away at various livestock shows and fairs and learning experiences, their attendance will still count for credit here in the Marlin Independent School District. Are there any questions? Next, we will have purchase concrete services from Sanchez Driveways related to Bond 22 projects by Mr. Bustamante.
Board President Johnson, Mrs. Terry, Dr. Henson, imagine standing on a beautiful new track and field and admiring the new artificial grass. Now, imagine the frustration of having to constantly clean the dead grass and the mud that flies on the Legion Field due to an area specifically right under the bleachers. So if you can see the item that's highlighted in red is the project that we are proposing today to move forward with. This project will supply and install about 2,600 square feet of cement on both sides of Legion Field, just to give that area a cleaner look and to prevent the grass, the dead grass and the mud from flying onto the new turf and our new track and field. Company we are asking to move forward with is Sanchez Driveways. They're locally owned and operated. They do work in Central Texas, and the owner of this company is a Marlin alumni. The cost of this project is $45,000. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Board President Johnson and Mrs. Terry, this concludes the superintendent's report.